It's pelting snow outside here in Ireland, so the Mazda MX-5 is tucked up nicely in the garage, as am I. So what better a way to spend the afternoon than tackling a problem with this car that is really annoying. The keys are really flimsy in it, so very easy to break in the locks. So I'm going to fit a central locking kit to this car and get that problem sorted out. I think it was about 40 quid for this kit, so not too bad at all. You can buy them on Amazon, and in it you get your wiring harness, the control module, which we'll just put aside for the moment, and there's your key fobs as well. A few little rods which help you attach the whole setup to the door, and in here we've got 4 door actuators, one of which has got 4 wires on it, and the rest of them have got 5 wires on it, and the rest of them have got 2 wires. So the 5 wire one is the one that gives the feedback when you open or close the driver's door, so that's the one for the driver's door, and then we've got one on the passenger door, and the other 2 are surplus to requirements. I've actually got a couple more of them knocking around from similar kits that I've installed before. Not sponsored by the crowd that supplied this or anything like that, but that's the kit I bought anyway, and as I said, there's the control module with our connector on it as well. So we're going to be installing that somewhere under the dashboard probably, or maybe in the engine bay. We'll have a look and see. But first and foremost, let's get the door lock actuators fitted, because they are the kind of the trickiest part of it. The rest of it is all just wiring and positioning and stuff like that. Kind of goes without saying that we need to start by removing the door card, so let's do that. I'm getting to be a dab hand at removing these Jesus door cards. The amount of jobs I've done that's involved doing this is extraordinary, between electric window mechanisms and door locks and broken keys, all this, that and the other. So I'm hoping that this job will actually prevent some of that problem in the first instance. To be fair, they're probably one of the easiest door cards to remove. Okay, so with everything exposed here, this is our area of concern, this top rod here. So that's locked, obviously, and that's open. So we need to figure out what way we can do this. Let me see. I think you can actually reverse the polarity on them, because so it's not really important as to which way around you put the motor. It just means that you have to wire them the opposite way if you have them pushing instead of pulling when they're basically. So, but if we can get them in such a way that they are actually working in the correct direction, then better again. So what we also need to do is we need to find a position to put them in where they are not interfering with the window, because the window is going to be quite tight in there. So let's turn on the car, put the window down. Ah, bloody battery's dead. Oh, why did that happen? Look, I've got a booster pack attached to it, so it'll do. Alright, okay, there we go. So that's that gives us an idea as to what sort of clearance we're dealing with for the window. So I'm kind of thinking if we can put the rod for the actuator for the central locking down here, it just means it's not pushing at the ideal angle, but if you can kind of, I wonder, could we get it kind of going up as diagonal as possible there. Let me see. Have a think about this. Okay, so just by way of a demonstration, I have a booster pack here, and we're just going to supply a bit of power to the motor like this. So you can see here, so that extends it. Now if we swap these around, put the negative there and the positive here, that's proof of concept. So that means that if you reverse the polarity on these, you're sorted for being able to push instead of pull it. So we're all right on that. Now, the other thing as well I was thinking is if we pop this in here like so, and just have the little doofer there popping out, that should give us the space we need to operate the system correctly. Now, let's see. Might need to put a couple of spacers, but generally that's the basic idea I'm thinking anyway. So if we do it like that, what if we put it in like that? Would that be better? Okay, so all right, that's pretty good at that. So let's see if we make a mark on the motor and the door, just so that we know where we're going to be lining it up to. I'm just using just the tiniest little scratch. It's not going to cause us any bother. Now, and we're going to be drilling holes there. So if we line that up like that and go through there, and again through there, then we should be able to drill our holes and get our screws in there, and we'll be able to put this into position, and then we can start attaching the rod. Alright, so I have our two holes marked out, and I'm just going to widen them out a bit. Alright, and that will allow that to sit nicely in there, with the head of it just poking out. Okay, so let's get the rod on next, because that is going to be what we need to attach before we actually screw it into place. Now, here we go. Pop the rod in there, and it just literally hooks through there like that, and that'll go on there. Obviously you cut it, but for the time being you have to cut it and bend it, and otherwise manipulate it. So that is let's get that screwed into place now, because we need a fixed point to work off at this stage. So we're going to put one of our screws in. It's just down here. You can take the screws out again if you need to, obviously. Right, so now that I have the actuator firmly attached in the door here, and the rod is coming up to roughly the position we kind of want it in, we're going to bend it here so that it straightens out to kind of go alongside the lock on the door. So we're going to actually attach our there's a little doofer that you attach onto the rod, so that when that pulls, it pulls the door open and closed. So let's have a look and see what we've got in our little bag of tricks here. So these are the fixings we actually use to attach it to the door. Hopefully there's some that are actually the right size. They look to be. I think we'll get away with any of these. So let's see now. I'm not gonna cut the rod until we know. Although mind you, do have spares, but still. I don't want to do anything too hasty here. Okay, so that's going to go on there like that. So the door is locked, the rod is fully extended, and that's the position we want that in. Okay, so now let's get the screws into that. I'm going to get a little bowl to put these in. Okay, that's that. And straight away you can see, I move that, it's doing what it needs to do. So we're looking pretty decent at that. I'm going to just get another screw in here and clamp them all down. Okay. So now let's use our booster pack to make sure that it electrically operates. I don't know if I have the right polarity here right now, but we'll try it. And that opened with great vigour, and will it close again? Will it what? Outstanding. Right, we are in business, and we've got the 5 wires to connect to our controller as well, so we're going to have to run some wires. I'm going to get the one put into the other side now, which only has 2 wires, and basically I'll be using the same method. you get the idea. Incidentally, what I did here is on this screw, I actually had to put an M8 nut on the back of it just as a spacer to kind of space this out a little bit from the door just to get the kind of alignment correct. But works fine. I'm happy enough with that. So yeah, and then when we're doing the routing of the wiring and stuff like that, a few cable ties and that here and there, and it'll be following the same wiring path as the electric window motor does. Now that I have the actuators installed on both doors, same over that side as well, I am now onto the unenviable task of trying to route the wiring from inside the car into the doors. So I've got the boot taken off the inside of the A-pillar here, and I've passed a wire through which I'm going to use as a fish wire to try and get everything in through into the doors. Not the easiest job in the world, I'm going to be honest with you, so it's just a case of taking your time and fumbling around until you get it. So that's what I'm basically going to do. As soon as I have the wire in the door, I'm going to tape the wires on the module onto this, and I'm going to pull it through, and that will get us to where we need to be. It's literally just yeah, I'm going to put the module up underneath the steering column, well, up near the fuse panel up there. There is a room fuse in these cars, which is basically your interior lights, your radio, all the stuff that's on continuously, and I'm going to be tapping off that circuit for the system. It's a 10 amp fuse on it. That should be loads for this system. Bearing in mind the likes of the cigarette lighter socket and the interior lights and all that shouldn't be on when you're actually going to unlock the doors. So anyway, look, 10 amps is still loads one way or another. So right, so let's see if we can get that wire in through this this wonderful bundle of joy down here. And if we get it through there, then we are golden and we're inside the door. And then it's just a case, as I said, of getting the wires for the actual module in through there. And then we have to run the other wires over to the other side. So we have to do it twice. That was a massive pain in the butt, but I got it through. I actually had to take the grommet off on both sides, both on the door and on the A-pillar. So it's the wire is routed through. Now I need to use that wire to pull through my wiring for the actual module. Okay, so I got all the wiring connected up here and run through the grommet. The grommet is back in place and everything there as well, so all is good. And what I've done is I have actually just plugged in temporarily the controller, so let's have a look and see. Okay, so there is a position disagreement there on that, so we knew that was going to happen, so that's something we need to remedy. So let's have a look and see how we can do that, because once we figure it out on this door, the other door will be fine. It'll be an easy enough job. So what we need to do is swap the blue and green first of all, because what's happening is it's been commanded to open when it needs to be closed. So if we just do that, now when we press the unlock button, it should unlock. That's obviously not right. So let's see now. Right, so now, I wonder if we do it like this. Worst case scenario, if we just have to leave these three disconnected and just have these ones, all it means is that you won't be able to trigger the central locking when you turn the key in the lock. But that's kind of all right, I think. I mean, obviously, if I can get it right, I will. So let me have a bit of a think about this. I need to have a look at a diagram and see what the actual codes on the wires actually mean. So let's plug them back in the way they are now. So, alright, let's leave that disconnected. Right, I'll have a think, I'll come back to you. Okay, so it all seems to be working properly now on this door, so I'm going to connect up the other door and route the wires behind the dash, and then I'm going to install the control module up behind the dashboard and complete the installation. Okay, so it is a couple of days later and you'll see I have the passenger door all buttoned back up again. A few well-placed cable ties here in the driver's door and everything as well, just to make sure that the wiring stays out of the way of the likes of the electric window and all that. And I have the module installed. So I have literally just tucked it up in behind the wiring harness over there. It's not going anywhere. And what I'm going to do is put a few cable ties around this bundle of joy here and probably use a bit of tested tape on it actually, and just run it across to where the module actually is. I have broken into the room circuit there, which is a blue and red wire that comes off the fuse panel. There's a 10 amp rated fuse in there, and I think that's plenty, to be honest with you. Look, if it pops the fuse, we can revisit it. Personally, I don't think it will though. And there we go. That is the harness kind of taped up there, and didn't kind of tape it up along there, but I might throw a bit around it, and I threw a cable tie around that there just to keep it in with the existing harness. But it's fine. I mean, look, that's not going anywhere, and it's up out of the way. The main thing I wanted to make sure is that it went up over the steering column. So what I would suggest you do is make sure that when you're actually routing the wiring across the car to the other side, that you make sure that the routing on this side before you get over there is correct, because once you put it in the door, you're going to end up having to cut wires and stuff like that to try and reroute it correctly. Ask me how I know. I wasn't going pulling the wires back out of the door again. I just routed it a bit wrong on this end. So yeah, a bit of time spent on this end saves you a bit of a pain further down the line. So yeah, definitely just make sure you do get that right. So anyway, look, it's fine. I used those solder sleeves to just rejoin the wires that I had to cut to kind of try and route correctly and everything as well. It's grand. It's going to work fine. You know, it might take away from the aesthetic of it a little bit, but I'm not really all that concerned. It's functioning perfectly. So now, happy days. Lovely. So now all that's left to do is to refit all the trim, and that's the job done, and I'm really pleased with how this came out. It's definitely a worthwhile modification if you have an MX-5 NA, especially if the keys are very flimsy. I think it's actually specifically the Unus Roadsters, the Jap imports, that actually have those really flimsy keys. Not really sure about the actual European spec MX-5s or the American Miatas. So anyway, in this instance, yeah, definitely something had to be done, because you can't be breaking keys left, right and centre. And the kit was, I think, €35, so really not that expensive, and it's comprehensive. It has all the bits in it you need. Just take your time, and yeah, hopefully you got a bit from this video that will help you along if you decide to do it. But personally, I think, you know, if you have one of these cars, just go and do it. Thanks very much for watching, folks. Chat to you soon. The Cosmic Joker is laughing his ass off at me right now. It's always something. Oh God, you gotta love cars. I don't know what the hell was wrong with it. I wiggled a few fuses and stuff like that, and it came good. That's more of a worry than anything else, because the problem is when you don't know what was wrong, you don't know what you did to fix it. So hopefully it's not going to leave it stuck. I'm going to do a few more checks and see if I can find out what the problem actually was. No, it just literally turned itself off. It was as if it just literally decided, no, I'm not playing anymore. I'm wondering, is it the ignition switch? Actually, that could be a thing. I may have a look at that. This has proven to be a bigger problem than I expected. There's an issue with seemingly the circuit opening relay, and I have to do a bit of diagnosis. I think I'll pick this up in a future video though.